losing? Oh my god! Is Bruv the GOAT?
Even if we're able to get a fix here, I think this might help us in the engagement in the next fight. Ultimate comes out from Mr. Speed. This still has a chance. He could turn this fight by himself. He's able to get 3 there.
What is up, everybody? We are back with another Carroll College esports gaming stream tonight. You just have me, Brady Clark. So everybody who's watching, wish me some good luck. I'm gonna need it tonight. I don't have Josh, I don't have Sean. You just get to listen to my lovely Midwestern voice for the entire night, and what a treat that will be. So for those who have been following us this season, or for those who haven't as well, Carroll College is currently undefeated and the #1 seed. This is their last regular season playoff game, and I believe playoffs will be starting not next week, but the week after, as far as I was told. And I just was actually in Helena last week to visit Carroll for a little bit, and I got to speak with Bruv, as well as Constant Rhyme, and they were telling me that they have their last match this week, and then they're going to practice a ton next week, and then go into playoffs with a high seed and hopefully get us a championship. And I don't even know if I should say hopefully, right? Because I feel like at this point, it's basically guaranteed. Knock on wood. College will be putting up their final match against Eastern New Mexico, who reportedly has only 1 win from what I've heard, and that is against Kelowna Gas, who we actually saw Carroll beat in the first week pretty handedly. So that means that I think Carroll's going to be having a little bit of fun tonight. Word on the street is we're going to do a little bit of trolling. It sounds like we're going to do some off-rolling. I've heard talk of Wrecking Ball, which is extremely disappointing to hear. I've also heard that Bruv might actually be the one playing tank, so that's looking like either Doomfist or maybe Ball. I really hope not Ball, but we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? It's not really up to me to decide these kinds of things. On top of that, we might see Mr. Spee play some DPS, which would that'd be kind of hard to watch, honestly, but we would manage through. We would persevere nonetheless. On top of that, I'm wondering if we may see a Lizard role swap. That's my wild card for the night. That's like, if we see the Lizard role swap, we know that like Carroll is feeling themselves, because from what I've heard, Bruv won't free Lizard. So let me just say right now, free Lizard. Let her play DPS or tank, and get Bruv back on the original character that I saw him play, which is Moira. Anyways, besides all of that, I think tonight's gonna be a really fun match to watch, because Carroll kind of is going into this thinking that they're going to roll, so they're going to switch to some off rolls and play some things that we have not probably seen them play before. or we might see things that we haven't seen that much this season, such as the Benny Boy Sombra, which is one of my personal favorites. It'd also be nice to see Bruv switch to tank because Mr. Shvi, for those who don't know, is graduating soon. And so I imagine that Bruv will take over that tank role in the future. I also am interested to see what Constant Rhyme ends up playing. We've seen Constant Rhyme playing a lot of cast this season, and so we might see a bit of a switch up for that as well. One important thing to note about tonight's game is that Overwatch has a new feature. It's a perk system. So as you play the game, as you stick to a hero, you sort of level that hero up, and they get to unlock what's called a perk. So you get to choose one of two things. I have not played with the perks too much, so we're going to be finding out what perks do together tonight. One of the big perks that I know is that with Ana, you can make her Biotic Grenade bounce, which is a nice perk in that you can have the Biotic Grenade hit a person and then bounce and then hit another person if you're good at the game. I've never done that because I'm not good at the game, but theoretically somebody like Benny Boy probably actually could be able to do that. Some of the main ones that Bruv told me to watch out for tonight is that Sombra can hack a teammate and give that teammate 100 health, which seems like a really strong ability. The perks are all pretty strong, it seems like to me. They all provide a benefit, and at each level that you go to, there's going to be one of two selections that you get to end up with. So you can level up to level 2 and then get to pick a perk, and then you level up to level 3 and get a set of 2 different perks to choose from, and the level 3 ones are obviously going to be a little bit stronger. Kiriko, who's a support player, can TP twice if it's done within 4 seconds as one of her perks. And then a perk for Wrecking Ball is that Wrecking Ball can slam for 50% more damage. Perk for Genji is that Genji gets lifesteal in Blade. And Brev told me that's probably it. So I think that definitely means that we're going to be seeing some Kiri, some Sombra, some Ball, some Genji. So that'll all be fun things to look forward to. I imagine that we'll probably see Mr. Shvi on the Genji if I had to guess. Anyways, I think it should be a fun match against Eastern New Mexico. I think Carroll, being the 1 seed right now, being undefeated, they are feeling super confident going into this match. And so I think they're just here to have some fun. So let's all have some fun with them. I'll be having fun by myself. I have to admit that it does feel a little weird just talking to myself. But we're going to bring the energy. We're going to get hyped for Carroll. I think this will also be a really good way to sort of end out the season in the sense that Carroll gets to relax a little bit. And that they'll get to go into the playoffs with a relatively easy match, so help them build up their confidence that they can probably still win even when they're not playing super serious. And so I think it'll be really exciting to see that happen. Also, if you're watching, Carroll College does have a Giving Day coming up. Make sure to check out the social media for the Carroll College esports team to figure out how you can support the Carroll College esports program to continue to grow and flourish. I was actually told that the president of Carroll College, Dr. John Seck, would be getting a jersey for his support. So shout out to President John Seck. I am a little hurt that John Seck got a jersey before I did, but that's okay. I'll get over it. It's not a big deal. It's not like I was a former player and now do these streams for them. Yeah, it's fine. It's not a big deal at all. I think the other thing to watch for tonight is I do believe that Carroll has now lost, I think it's 2 or 3 coin flips this season. So we'll see if Carroll can bring back their winning streak of coin flips. I think it's ultimately going to depend on whether Carroll is server admin or not. Because I think when Carroll is server admin, they tend to win the coin flips a lot more. And then they always get to go Ilios first map, and then they usually win. I did hear actually that they lost on Ilios, I think last week, or 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago, I was a very busy guy, so I wasn't able to stream. But apparently I had an excellent match that was pretty close on 4 maps. So Carroll actually did lose a map, which is kind of generous when you think about it, right? Because Carroll has been winning maps all season long. And so finally they're deciding to be generous and donate maps to their opponents. I'm forgetting an invite into the lobby. So we're going to be getting in here soon. As we've talked about previously, Carroll has really high endorsement levels. That's something you just love to see. All 4s, and then Benny Boy has a 5. I'm unfortunately at a 3, but in my defense, I don't really play this game anymore. I just support Carroll and hype him up, which is why I don't know anything about perks, which I think is going to make it even more exciting for us all to learn about perks. I'm getting a notice from somebody who is in the room with the Carroll College Saints saying that they're getting pretty goofy. I think I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I think it'll be a good mindset for Carroll to be in as they head into playoffs, where I think hopefully they should run into some more challenging opponents. But I think ultimately with Carroll's synergy and the way that they've worked on coordinating their abilities, I think that they're just really kind of looking unstoppable, honestly. I think Mr. Speed's done a great job coaching the team. Wish he had done that when I was on the team, but I think ultimately Carroll College is looking really strong heading into this offseason. So now the other team is loading into the lobby. Oh my gosh, level 5 endorsements. Holy. Okay, they have level 3. That balances it out, I feel like. Yeah. So if you're Carroll and you win the coin flip, I imagine you go Ilios because that's where you've been going all season. We've also been streaming games all season, so maybe Eastern New Mexico University will have watched these streams, and we'll know that Ilios is Carroll's bread and butter. I doubt that, because we don't want the opponent scouting us. That's bad news for us. But if they do pick Ilios, I think that's also like totally fine for Carroll. They don't really care who picks Ilios as long as they get Ilios first map. We're gonna have the coin flip. Mr. Sp has just asked for the coin flip, so we'll see what happens here. So another interesting thing about perks that I didn't mention earlier that I feel like I should mention is that the perk levels don't carry over between characters. So if I start out on Cassidy and I get him up to perk level 3, but then I switch to Soldier to, let's say, counterpick somebody else, my Soldier restarts at perk level 1. So then I have to work my way back up through the perks. I think though, if you switch back to a character that you've leveled up the perks on, you get those perks that you previously had. Carroll College has lost the coin flip. No way. No way. Carroll might be doing too much trolling tonight. They're server admins, and then the other team called heads, and it landed heads. Wow. Really generous mood from Carroll. We're giving up map. We gave up a map 2 weeks ago. We're giving up coin flips now. I mean, it's just such a generous spirit out here at Carroll College. Carroll College is currently repeatedly saying Jesse in chat. I believe this to be a Breaking Bad reference, if you will. I think Carroll is getting a little too silly. I mean, listen, like, if they're feeling that confident, it's good. But you got to rein it in. You still got to be able to coordinate these, what I imagine are going to be dives, because we've heard the Wrecking Ball, the Genji, the Sombra are coming out. And so I think they're going to have fun with it. But if you're going to be playing these dive comps, you need to be a little bit more coordinated and not have too much fun with it. But that being said, you know, I'm no longer on the team. So if Carroll College just wants to go absolutely crazy tonight and just vibe out, good for them, you know? I think in the weeks past, we've talked about what Carroll's like goals are for each map, and it's typically been to punish the opposing team's bad positioning or to prioritize their ultimates a little bit better, because ultimates are so important in Overwatch. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how they do that tonight when they're playing a composition that maybe they're not as comfortable with, or maybe they haven't practiced as much. Though Bruff has told me that he's been playing a lot of ball. Looks like our first map is going to be Oasis. I don't know if we've seen Carroll play Oasis maybe once this season. Yeah, maybe once, but I think it'll be interesting to see how Carroll adapts to this map, which is going to be pretty different from Ilios. There's not quite as many points, I feel like, to jump from onto the point. Although if they go to, I can't remember the names of any of the Oasis points, but there's this one where there's this high ground balcony. They could get up onto there and then jump onto somebody. But I feel like it's just a little less open. Oasis has more clear paths than I feel like Ilios does. And so we'll have to see how well Carroll's sort of silly, goofy gameplay plays into that. We have been notified that Eastern New Mexico's University, one of their players, their game is updating. So they should be on temporarily. Piece of advice to all of you watching: make sure you update your games. Let's suss out the other team. Let's see what they've got going on tonight. All right, so first and foremost, we have, I believe, their tank player. Yeah, we have their tank player. Gray Man-Mans. Looks like a gold player. And then we've got their DPS player is also a gold player. That's Connorism. And then we've got Molly, who's a support player, gold support player. And then we have Tay-Tay, who has a private account. Wow. But they do have a My Hero Academia X Overwatch like background image for their profile, so I guess that means they're like a real gamer. That's like New Mexico is dealing with a dust storm right now, so I hope everyone is okay down there. Oh, they were making Breaking Bad references because Breaking Bad's in New Mexico. I should have gotten that. You know, that's on me. That's on me, everyone. I'm sorry. I've let you all down. That was a terror. That just flew right over my head. Holy cow. Wow. I might be cooked. I think it'll be interesting too because I feel like Speed takes the lead on a lot of team fights and make sure, and it does sound like the team's gotten better about calling everything out, but I feel like Speed is still as the captain, sort of the figurehead for the team. And so with Bruv kind of leading the charge on tank, if he is playing Wrecking Ball, I think that that'll kind of switch things up. And we might see that Carroll might not be as coordinated. I think they might be, and I think this will be good practice for Bruv too, because I imagine Bruv will be captain next year and play the tank role. So this will help Bruv to sort of be more in that shot calling position. But it'll be interesting to see if there's any conflict between Bruv and Mr. Spee as they go into the first match. I imagine not, because they've practiced it, but you never know. If there's any sort of moments where it seems maybe disconnected, that could be what's going on. But, you know, Carroll College is like the perfect team, so I don't think anything bad's gonna happen. We are going into our first game.
Welcome to Oasis.
Of Oasis. Let's see what map we get. I feel like we've definitely seen them play. I can remember them playing Library. So we're going to get the map that I was talking about where there's this high ground. And so what I think we're going to see teams do early on is sort of rotate to this high ground. I'd especially see if Carroll's playing this more dive comp to either play up here and then jump down, or to rotate here and then attack the enemy from behind. With the dive composition, they're going to want to try to jump on the opposing team's supports, and then to also try and prioritize hitting those squishier targets rather than the opposing team tank. So Carroll is showing, oh my god, the Benny Boy Sombra, the return of a classic, return of one of the fan favorites. But unfortunately, we are seeing this Mr. Spee Genji as well. I just want to remind everyone that Mr. Spee is on controller. So we're going to be seeing controller gameplay tonight. We also have Bruv playing the Wrecking Ball. We do have Blizzard sticking to a Kiriko, which we've seen before, and Constant Rhyme is going to be flexing to the Juno. This is going to be met by Eastern New Mexico's Zarya, Cassidy, Mercy, Kiriko, and a Sombra for themselves. I think the opposing Sombra actually might be able to get a lot of value, especially into this ball if they play well. So we already have an early hack from Benny Boy, who has to blink out though as Zarya rotates to deal with that. And we're seeing Mr. Spee trying to do a little bit of poking here, but we're shooting shurikens kind of like I do, in the sense that not a whole lot of these are landing right now. But Carroll has this space, and they've already sort of positioned themselves on the point. So they're going to get first split, which is big. There's a big hack onto the cast. The cast is going low, but it looks like the cast might be able to get killed up here. Benny Boy is able to pick off the Kiriko, which is a huge pick, but Constant Rhyme as the Juno goes down, which is hard. Another important thing about this Sombra character is that Sombra can see low health opponents through walls. So that means that Benny Boy is going to be able to target down low health opponents, as we're seeing here as they're going in on this Mercy. So Benny Boy is able to clean up the Mercy, and now Spee is kind of 1v1ing this cast, but gets saved by Bruv. Shout out Bruv for saving Spee there. We do have a touch and a contest coming in as the Zarya walks onto point, but with the Kiriko down, there will be no more healing for that Zarya as we start to see the Zarya back out. Right now, Carroll is definitely in control. And we will have a Wrecking Ball ult, which is a bunch of landmines coming up soon. But interestingly, the Cassidy is almost at a Deadeye. I'm not sure that'll get a lot of value because there's just so much movement for Carroll. And there we have the landmines coming out. The Mercy is super low, able to get picked off by Juno. Constant Rhyme there. We also have the Cassidy going super low. Mr. Spee is able to pick that out. Shout out Mr. Spee getting a pick. Very cool. And really only one ultimate committed there from Carroll. The landmine's able to get a lot of value. What's going to happen here, though, is that we are going to come... Eastern New Mexico is going to come back with 3 ults. And... oh my god, wait, Mr. Spee finds that? Wait, someone check his PC. Someone check his PC. The Sombra, opposing Sombra, Crunchy, Crisp, went invisible. And Mr. Spee somehow jumped on that. I think we need to check his PC. Probably able to get a lot of value. I did think that the Sombra might be able to get a little bit more value by being able to hack the Wrecking Ball and then focus them down, but it doesn't seem to be happening. There we have a grab, able to pick up the Genji and the ball. Mr. Speed tries to deflect, but really just not able to get a whole lot of value. And we now have a lot of ults being committed. We have a sort of late EMP coming in from Benny Boy. But as we mentioned before, my goat could never make... Okay, wait, Lizard? Okay, wait. Carroll's getting a little too silly, guys. It doesn't gotta be like that. We're gonna jump in with Mr. Speed, though, who's coming up on Blade. So, Carroll commits EMP from Benny Boy a little late, but Benny Boy is that guy, so I could see him clutching that fight. And then Lizard commits Kitsune Red, which also Lizard is them as well, so I could see Lizard definitely clutching that as well, but a little bit questionable odds if you want my honest opinion. Mr. Speed's kind of looking for this Blade, but he's currently getting bodied. Here we go. We have the Blade coming out. Jumps into the Kiriko. Does not get the dash reset off the Kiriko. If anybody loses the 1v1 to Crunchy Crisp on the side. We do have a pick on to the Kiriko and the Sombra, which is going to help, and we have a lot of space created by Bruv's landmines. Bruv is also currently working on taking down the Mercy, who is super low. And we have an Orbital Beam coming in from Constant Rhyme. This should help Carroll to clean it up, as Carroll has flipped the point, and it's now back to 99%. Okay, Carroll got a little silly there, but we locked in. And now it was winnable. Yep, Carroll gets the first point. Very nice job. So yeah, super great stuff from Carroll there. I mean, we saw some solid coordination from Carroll. Just a few questionable ults there, but like when you got the ego of Carroll College, when you got the skill and the talent to back it up, you don't need to worry about it too much. You know what I mean? Everything's gonna be fine. Looks like both teams are gonna stick with the same comp here. So as you can see on your screen right now, Bruv is currently at perk level 2, and his first perk looks like it has something to do with health kits. Could not tell you what that is. Maybe he gets a health boost from health kits. If I had to guess, that'd be my guess. Really nice rollout here from Bruv. Gonna be able to get to the choke where the enemy team needs to walk through super fast. That's a big pile driver. We already have both supports to be about half health. They're gonna get killed up quickly, but Lizard is able to find a nice headshot on a Crunch Crisp to get that cleanup. Super nice pick by Lizard. Speed is currently on the front lines fighting like an absolute unit, taking on this Kiriko. I'm gonna get a pick from this. I don't think quite. Unfortunately, Lizard does go down to the opposing cast. Gonna blame that one on Speed. Should have been protecting his supports for real. Constantine also goes down. I think that means that Carroll probably loses this fight without their supports. We're gonna need a little bit of a reset. Bruv and Benny Boy are still contesting the point though. I mean, Bruv is pretty full health, so he could contest the point for a while. We finally have a hack onto Bruv, which is going to slow him down for a little bit, but he's still alive and he's already 80% ult charge, which is the third fastest ult charge in the game. I mean, we already have 2 ults online for what is this school's name? Eastern New Mexico. So we already have the Deadeye and the Valkyrie ready to go, which I think is going to be a big benefit, but we have a lot of space created by this landmine. In response, we have the Valkyrie coming out from the opposing team's Mercy. We have a hack onto the Cassidy. Cassidy is super low. Speed and Benny Boy coordinate there to get a huge pick. That's really nice coordination. That's what we need to see from this dive composition. Benny Boy does go down, but Constantine's able to pick off the opposing Kiriko, which means that now there's a support advantage for Carroll, which is huge as they continue to fight this point. The question is, do they have enough damage to get down the Zarya? And I think Mr. Speed getting that pick there when the Mercy goes for the res is huge. That's going to give Carroll the opportunity to really kind of burn down the Zarya, who does seem to be pretty high charge right now. Carroll flips the point over. We have Eastern New Mexico already at 45%, but I think Carroll has some big ults coming online. They have both support ults and both DPS ults coming online very soon. I think we might see a Speed Blade very quickly. Here it is. Let's see what he does. Okay, they have to grab him. That's an aura. That's Jets. He's aura farming. Okay, we do see Mr. Speed go down there. And now Carroll College looks like okay, Bruv is still alive, but we have the Juno, we have the Ball, we have the Sombra. The Sombra is able to pick 2 back there, and now it's just the Juno Ball versus the Sombra on point. They're able to clean that up. And Now the Zarya is pushing in as well. I wonder if the Zarya thinks that they can win this fight. It doesn't seem super likely, but now the cast is back. This is very scrappy. Blizzard is able to teleport back into the point and gets off a Kitsune rush that runs into the wall. That's unlucky. That is unlucky. But now 4 players are back for Carroll versus 2 players, 3 players on point, and we have another landmine coming out. These landmines are coming on so quickly for Bruv. They're able to just create so much space. Force the TP out of the Kiriko, and now we have this great positioning where Benny Boy is able to clean up 2, and everyone can get together to clean up. Sorry, that's a 3K for Benny Boy. Shout out the GOAT. And that means that Benny Boy also has an EMP. I haven't really been paying attention to Benny Boy's EMPs. There's just like a bajillion things going on, but surely each EMP has been really, really, really good. So we're gonna jump in with Benny Boy this fight, see how much value he can get out of this EMP.
Enemy spotted.
Cassidy does have ultimate and is being checked by the Sombra, but the rest of the team is coming down from low ground, and right now Benny Boy is... Oh my god, Benny Boy, what are you doing, bro? Little bro is lost! Speed clutches this. Oh, Speed does not clutch this, in fact. So, Carroll gets all the way to 99. Do use Orbital Ray from the Juno in that fight, but honestly, you're okay with that because you're coming back in with the EMP. I think that all is going to be the one that can really determine this fight. That being said, there are 3 ultimates for Eastern New Mexico. On the other side, we have the Grab, the Deadeye, and their own EMP. Here's the Grab. Gets 3, I think, and is able to clean up just a ton of players. Grayman has a pretty high charge this game, which is interesting because I feel like usually with a dive composition, you might not get as much of that charge onto the Zarya weapon. So just a quick, clean team fight there from Eastern New Mexico. Carroll's gonna be able to push back in pretty quickly though, because everyone on the team moves so fast. And we're gonna jump back in with Benny Boy because, okay, listen, I keep saying we're gonna jump back in with Benny Boy and see this EMP, and then Benny Boy does not EMP. So surely Benny Boy will EMP this fight. I mean, it's 3rd time's the charm. We're gonna see a big EMP come out of Benny Boy. It looks like we might be lining it up. Oh, everyone jumps on the carry, and we have a high ground. Okay, we get the EMP. It seems to pick the cast, which is a big pick. 2 counter pick, or 2 counter hacked by the opposing team's EMP. We're at 9-9. We're going to jump in with Speed, who is currently Dragon Blading. Onto the Kiriko. Is he able to pick that through the Suzu and the Coalescence? Constant Rhyme is walking back into the fight, able to get some heals back into the team, which are much needed. Lizard able to pick up the opposing Kiriko, and Bruv is able to pick up the opposing Moira. Looks like Carroll College is turning this fight, but Constant Rhyme goes down right away. We're going to jump in with Lizard because Lizard is coming up on almost 90% to a Kitsune Rush. Huge. Lizard does go down at the very end. Benny Boy also goes down, but Bruv is still contesting this point, and we have Mr. Speed switching to the Tracer. Oh, Bruv gets off point just long enough for Eastern New Mexico to stop overtime and get that point. That's just unlucky, honestly. I think what happened there, honestly, is that Benny Boy held EMP for too long. He kind of went off on this flank to pick off the Cassidy while the rest of the team was coming down through bottom. I think that could have been a 4-man EMP that could have gotten a lot of value. But honestly, Benny Boy is a better player than I am, and I shouldn't question my GOAT. So I'm sure Benny Boy was cooking up something devious. I think also Carroll honestly just wanted the 3rd map because it's a lot of excitement. You know what I mean? More Carroll College Overwatch is good. Oh, I'm getting told all of the perks. Shout out Zindy for giving me all of the perks. Okay, so I was right. So the one on Wrecking Ball is that the health packs here an additional 100 health. So we have some switches here from our support line. We have Blizzard switching to the Mercy. It looks like to damage boost Mr. Speed. Pretty questionable if you want my honest opinion. And then we have Constant Rhyme switching to the Alari. That's going to just offer a little bit more damage. Speed is kind of farming his backline, though. And Bruv is as well. I mean, Bruv is already 50% to landmines, which is pretty nuts. That being said, the cast is about 43% to his own ult, which is pretty impressive ult charge. They managed to pick off Crunchy Crisp. That being said, Bruv is really low, needs to get out. Able to get to a hacked health pack, while also getting that additional 100 health from the health packs is going to help him heal back up. But the opposing Moira manages to pick off 2, and that means Carroll is kind of out of this fight. It looks like that Spee and Lizard are back on point. Lizard must have gotten a res. I don't think Spee would have gotten back that fast. No one has capped the point yet, and Carroll is re-engaging. Shvi still has this Mercy boost. The only problem right now is that this Moira Orb is putting damage on it. They managed to pick the Kiriko, and we have a hack onto the Moira, and now it looks like Shvi should be able to clean up the Sombra. If Shvi had found the Sombra that just went invisible, we would have definitely had to check his PC. That would have been a little too suspicious. Shvi popped off at the end of that fight, though. Able to put down a ton of damage on the Kiriko, and then onto the Moira, and then onto the opposing Sombra, just able to really kind of see that they're out of position and capitalize on that. Oh my god, he just got some hits on the Sombra. Check Mr. Shvi's PC. So coming into this fight, we're going to have Dragon Blade, Landmines, and Valkyrie, which is going to be met by a... So we already have the main field coming out. Benny goes down early to the Cassidy, but I think that we're still looking pretty solid. Here we go, Mr. Speed with the blade. Can we have a big blade? Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. We cannot have a big blade. In fact, that's what they're saying. Carroll does manage to get up to 40%, and Lizard gets a nice res onto Mr. Speed. We'll see if that gets a whole lot of value. Mr. Speed is back in the fight on the Cassidy, gets hindered. It's interesting too because Lizard is playing super deep with the Genji, and I think that Lizard's doing an excellent job being able to get these reses off, not die. Mr. Speed, on the other hand, has had a couple of times, but listen, we all make mistakes. My spectating is freaking out. So sorry, everyone. Rev is coming back in for a slam. Looks like it was met by a Zarya bubble. Not a whole lot of value there. And we have a grab, and we have an EMP from Benny Boy. Unfortunately, the grab picks 3 before there's a whole lot of value out of Benny Boy's EMP, and that's going to mean that Eastern New Mexico is up now. We have Bruv switching to the Zarya. Carroll is switching it up. Okay. We also have Monster switching to the Moira. Probably just to provide a little bit more healing. Everybody is shooting the Zarya bubble so quickly, though. I mean, we already have Bruv at 45% charge. Supposed to be 60 charge. Carroll is not going to be able to walk in this fight. I think this is going to give Carroll so much more presence. They're able to quickly capitalize on the Zarya being out of position there. That being said, the cast goes on a big flank and is able to pick off Lizard, which means there's going to be no res and no healing. Well, we have another big pick on a Shvi. That being said, Bruv is still maintaining a strong presence on point, and Benny Boy is contesting as well, but it looks like Bruv's probably going to go down here. Yeah, Bruv goes down, Constant Rhyme and Benny Boy both fall, and Carroll College is looking at 90% from their opposing team, but they are going to be able to push in here with 3. They have Shvi, Mercy, Lizard's Mercy, and Bruv Zarya. Mr. Shvi goes for the touch, is able to contest, but then we have a Deadeye coming out from Eastern New Mexico. It is able to pick Bruv, who was on the point to contest. And now we have everybody else from Carroll trying to contest. Actually get 2 huge picks there. And then we have a blade for Mr. Shvi. And Shvi picks 1. He picks 2. But this is just still picking a 4th. Can he get a 4th? Okay, basically gets a 4th. Benny Boy steals it. Carroll College clutches up. I honestly thought that that was, like, nightmare situation for Carroll College, right? But Carroll College manages to clutch up, which is kind of insane. Wow, yeah, I did not think that was gonna happen. Okay, Carroll, I see you guys. You locked in. Mr. Speed locked in. Able to pick 3 there and basically pick off the Zarya as well with some help from Benny Boy. We finally have Bruv switching over to the Doomfist. Bruv had told me that he had been practicing Doomfist all week and that it was going to be certifiably nuts. Mr. Speed goes down early. We'll see if Lizard is able to get this res. It doesn't look like it. It looks like they're covering Mr. Speed's body well. Constant Rhyme also goes down, but Bruv is able to pick off the Kiriko. Now Lizard is hacked, going super low. They're able to pick on that pick, but Bruv has picked 2. So this is high-key still winnable for Carroll. The big problem right now is that this Sombra is going to shut down a lot of the mobility of Bruv, and they're able to chase down Bruv for the kill. But Mr. Speed is now able to contest points again. Carroll is able to kind of keep rotating in here, and Lizard gets a huge res, goes down for it. But we have an EMP coming in. Benny Boy is able to pick off the Kiriko. And now Bruv is creating a ton of space. We have a counter EMP and a grab coming in, though. That's really tough. That's a really hard combo to beat. Benny Boy does beat the Sombra to 1v1 because he's the GOAT, of course. But that looks like map 1 is going to Eastern New Mexico. And listen, what did I tell Carroll? They got caught trolling too close to the sun. That's what I have to say. It was a pretty decent first match. I mean, both points that Carroll lost. Oh, yeah. Okay, Mr. Speed. I see you. I see you. The roller Genji. Okay, let's everyone take notes on this. Okay. Okay, actually, maybe don't take notes on that. So, Carroll loses the first map, but the Second or third point were both lost 100 to 99. So they were super close. And like we mentioned before, like, Carroll's trolling tonight. You know what I mean? Like, they're not playing their on rolls. If Carroll loses another map, I imagine that we might see them switch up to something. And they're picking King's Row right off the bat. They could also do off rolls by having Mr. Speed play Ride. Because he's so bad at Ride. Okay. I'm rehydrated. We're getting ready for Kings. Oh, Carroll is just saying ready. They're ready to go for the next map. I think they've got a little fire under their belly. I think they're going to try and run it back and assert dominance. I do think the dive honestly should work pretty well on attack on first point. I think it can put a lot of pressure on Eastern New Mexico if they're kind of holding up more, especially then because Carroll could jump onto their back line and maybe get past the front line. And because Carroll's admins for these lobbies, we have the winter version of King's Row, the significantly better version of the map. It looks like, I'm not even sure if Carroll asked which side they wanted to be. I'm sure they did. So it'll be interesting because Carroll chose the map. Eastern New Mexico will get to choose what side they're going with first. And it looks like they chose to attack. I think that's not a bad play. I think, oh, Carroll said no more fun. Carroll said, we lost first map, we're done. All right, we're no longer off-rolling. I guess we're done with the dive. Rub is back on the Sojourn. Mr. Spee is on the Ramatra. Contra playing the Torbjorn. I think this is a great pick. The perks seem pretty strong from what they were telling me. Let me pull it up.
Be ready. Over there.
I will pull them up eventually, don't you worry. I have some messages from Bruv. He said, we're going back to normal comp. Carroll College, you're a coward. You can't just give up after one map. Also, you barely lost that map. We gotta run it back. Anyways, Constant Rhymes pick here, I think, is provide a lot of value. I've heard the perks are really strong for Torbjorn. And on top of that, it's also a pretty good counter pick to this Pharah that they're currently running. So we see a pretty similar comp to what New Mexico was playing the last time, I think, because they found success with it. They're gonna run it back. The only switch is that the Cassidy counterism is now on Pharah, and I don't know if that's going to get too much value, honestly. Bruv is able to get a nice pick there onto the Moira. Bruv is currently holding this nice high ground angle that's able to get a lot of value and kind of have a view of everyone. Sombra does manage to get out, but barely has any health. Is going to have to reset. Now Bruv's going to challenge this Pharah. Bruv is able to pick off the Sombra, going kind of low here, but getting his Mercy Pocket back from Lizard, able to clean up that kill and stay alive. They are pinging that the Sombra did go down the stairs. So one interesting perk that I've heard about Sojourn is that when you're in ultimate and you have this certain perk, you can charge your railgun up to 150, which essentially means if you're damage boosted by the Mercy, you can right click and body shot to one tap any player with 300 or health blast. 300 health or less, as far as I understand it, which seems incredibly strong. The Pharah goes down to literally 1 health, is able to pick up the Mega, but Mr. Spee is currently fighting on the front line and getting a few picks, creating a lot of space for his team and doing a great job holding this choke. Mr. Spee does go kind of low, but Benny Boy is in this hotel to be able to heal him up. And we have a big pick by Constant Rhymes turret onto the Sombra. That's also going to make the Sombra's job flanking a lot harder. We do have a switch from the Moira to the Lifeweaver on the side of Eastern New Mexico. I wonder why that, maybe Moira just feels more comfortable on the Lifeweaver. I'm not sure necessarily that like the grip from the Lifeweaver will get a whole lot of value though. Mr. Spee is doing a great job holding down this choke. We have an ult coming in from the Sojourn from Bruv. We're going to see that charge up 250C just like that, able to right click and pick the opposing Juno, but in response, they get 2 picks. We're able to get the res on a Benny Boy. We are down Mr. Spee, though. So that's going to make this fight a little bit more difficult, especially because Grab comes in. But huge right click. Oh my god. Huge right click. After the nano onto Bruv is able to pick off the Pharah. That's absolutely huge. They do get 2 picks from the Grab. One onto the Torbjorn, and then another onto... Okay, so Gray Man is able to just kind of walk on the team. Bruv does have a fantastic pick onto the Pharah as the Pharah tries to ult, which is going to deny the Pharah ult. But that also means then that Carroll when that grab came through, there was still a lot of damage being forced down Carroll as everyone kind of began to focus on that Pharah. Mr. Speed does have Annihilation here. We see it popped. We also have the Torbjorn ult coming out, as well as Valkyrie. So now Carroll has used every ult in the last fight or two. They're able to clean off that tree, which is big because that means that now Carroll is going to be able to push in and do more damage. Interestingly, the Life Weaver grips the Zarya into this small room. I'm not exactly sure that's what the Zarya would have wanted, but I mean, it helps keep the Life Weaver alive for a little bit longer. But that means then that that's only going to be that much more delay until they can fight again because the Zarya just goes down. Pharah does manage to pick Lizard, but I think Lizard should, if people go back to catch up to get a flight, should be able to get back in time. Right now, the big thing to watch this fight is that Crunchy Chris is going to be coming in with a EMP, and that could be the ult that really changes this fight. To shut down all the abilities on the side of Carroll, depending on how many Crunchy Chris can pick up, could be devastating. So Carroll needs to be aware of this. Oh my gosh. Kill onto the Juno as they try to ult. So I think they canceled ult, and the EMP comes in and basically it's no value. And we're gonna have another railgun coming in here for Bruv, and we're going to, I imagine, see a lot of picks. Okay, able to do a lot of damage onto the Zarya, able to do a lot of damage onto the Pharah, and that's just then cleanup for Carroll. And we get a res onto Bruv to sweeten the treat. So Eastern New Mexico does manage to cap 80.2%, but that just means that Carroll has to full cap first point and they'll win. I don't think that should be too much of a problem for Carroll, especially if they're playing their more serious comp. Man, talking all by myself is exhausting. Holy cow. Especially Overwatch is such a fast game. Yeah, I think it's really nice to see Carroll kind of switch back to what they're comfortable with. I mean, maybe not what they're comfortable with, but like what they're best at. Do you know what I mean? In the sense that like first map, they may have been shaken up a little bit because they're going in so confident. They're like, oh, we're going to win this thing easily even by off-rolling. And then they lose a very close match. So now this is going to help Carroll sort of build that confidence back. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Oh, brother! Okay, maybe we are trolling. I take it back. That's my bad, everyone. We're trolling. We do have a switch to the Symmetra on the other side. And Bruv is going to be playing the Widow. We'll jump in with Bruv and see if Bruv can get any picks here early at the beginning of the map. I do want to mention that if you've watched the highlight video before, there is a clip of Bruv playing Widow on there. So maybe we can get another clip of Bruv playing Widow tonight. Most assuredly, I should say. It's time to click some heads, Bruv. Let's lock in. And then we'll jump in with Mr. Speed's Ryan. I know everyone wants to see Mr. Speed's Ryan. I want to see Mr. Speed's Ryan. Well, we're going to see if Bruv can get any picks here. Okay. Okay! That's one. Yeah, go again! Go again! Yeah, peek that Symmetra. You don't want that smoke. You don't want that smoke. Oh, we have Spee switching to the ROM. He might be a coward. Constantine is able to pick two. Okay. Wait, get Constantine off support and get him on the DPS. This guy is a dog. Two big headshots able to clean up this fight, and then a third to clean up the Symmetra. Honestly, super generous of Constantine to die to the opposing Sojourn there so that the other team can get a pick before Carroll steamrolls them. I mean, that's just a super great start from Carroll on this map. Able to clean that up super easily, and Carroll takes the map within like 15 seconds, right? And now Lizard's emoting on them. Yeah, way to show who's boss, Lizard. I think the Constantine really popped off there, got the pocket from Lizard, and was able to just do a ton of damage. Let's see Mr. Speed play the game. That's two play the games for Mr. Speed tonight. Okay. See, this was that weird play where the Life Weaver grips the Zarya into this back room and then kind of isolates the Zarya. Okay, this is play of the game. I guess it was kind of an unexciting game then. So now Carroll is tied 1-1 with Eastern New Mexico. Be interested to see now if Carroll continues to play their more serious composition or if they decide to switch back to the fun, right? Because now that we've seen they're more serious, they kind of just steamrolled. Which, you know, it's fun to win. But it's also fun to see Mr. Spee pull out a Dragon Blade and either kill the entire enemy team or hit straight air. It's hard to say which one will happen when Mr. Spee pulls out a blade. Also, too, I think Bruv was showing a lot of signs of life on the Doomfist that was looking good. Benny Boy's Sombra is great as always. Constantine was playing Mystery Heroes in that last map, so I'd maybe like to see Constantine stick to a support more consistently so we can kind of see what Constantine brings to the table. And Lizard is just consistent, as always. Looks like our third map is going to be New Jug City. Not a whole lot of chit chat between rounds. There was a little bit of chit chat before. There's a little bit of chit chat before, but now it seems like, you know, Carroll is just here for business. We've seen Carroll play a lot on New Jug City. Carroll, these maps have always been kind of close for Carroll. So I'm interested to see if they, maybe knowing that this map has been close for them in the past, decides to roll out on something they're more comfortable with, or on that sort of more fun comp that we saw at the beginning. Also, we see just interested to see what Eastern New Mexico brings to the table, because as we saw in the first game, Connorism was actually doing a pretty strong job on the Cassidy. So we are going to see the Cassidy from them, and we're going to see Carroll kind of play a similar composition to what they played previously, but this time we have Mr. Spee on the Doomfist, actually. I think if he runs it down on the Doomfist, it's going to be a little bit of a tough matchup because of the CC from the Cassidy as well as the Roadhog on the other side. They also have a Doomfist. So I think what Eastern New Mexico is realizing is that when Mr. Spee is on tank, you gotta deal with Mr. Spee. Dude, the Rhine? Huh? Oh, this is gonna be entertaining. This is gonna be good content, everybody. We're gonna stick on Mr. Speed for a little while, see what we got cooking. I think it'll be interesting too, right? Because we did see a big nano on to Rub in the previous game that was able to shut down an ulting Pharah. But the question is, now that we have Mr. Speed, okay, Rub gets a huge headshot to start the game. That's a great pick. But now that we have Mr. Speed onto the right, I wonder if you nano Mr. Speed. Okay, Mr. Speed pins into a wall. Questionable. They are able to get the res onto the Cassidy, and the Reaper gets antied and runs away, and then we have the Kiriko trying to chase down to heal that Reaper, and now the entire team is just in disarray, and Mr. Speed's able to walk all over them. So then we have an anti on to... Speed's able to pick 4 in this fight. Wait, give him 5. Give him 5. Come on. Speed, get the 5. Speed almost has a Earth Shatter, mind you. And we almost have a Nano Boost. Okay, big slam, big slam. Okay, misses the Fire Strike afterwards, but that's okay because we're able to pick up the Kiriko, and the Roadhog is super low. Speed, what are you doing, bro? How are you supposed to get a clip if you miss the pin? What are you doing? Oh my god, we're getting off this guy. Free me. Why won't it free me? Hello? Oh, I wasn't tapped in. So sorry, everyone. That's why it wasn't working. Now we're going to watch him with Rub, who has an ult. I just want to say, too, Consortium has been doing a great job this game, has had quite a few picks. The Roadhog is currently on point by themselves. And then we see Rub actually pop ult, trying to deal with it. We get a huge sweep from Benny Boy across the map onto the Roadhog. The opposing Mercy pops Valkyrie into that, and that's basically a wasted Valkyrie at this point because the whole team is basically cooked. So that means that Carroll gets first point for pretty easily while keeping both support ults and a Deadeye. We currently have Blizzard and Brub taking on the Roadhog. I think this is a super favorable matchup for... Oh, and Speed comes in. The Knight in Shining Armor comes in with a pin from the Raptors to save from. That was so funny. Okay, so Carroll's able to regroup here and is going to be able to rotate to the point together, which is huge. Carroll being able to sort of set up is going to be nice, especially with this Rhine shield. It's going to make the Roadhog push into that pretty difficult. Okay, so I was able to flip the point pretty easily here. Both supports. The Roadhog is asleep again. Benny Boy sleeps onto the Roadhog have been very, very nice tonight. Able to find that target super easily. Huge pick onto the Moira to start the fight. That being said, the Roadhog is creating a ton of space with his ultimate. Brub is able to catch point. The Nano goes on to Brub. Let's see what Brub's able to do with this Nano. We also have Constant popping Deadeye, able to pick off the Roadhog, which is big. And then we have the solo shatter onto the ulting Cassidy. Yeah, okay. Okay, Mr. Shwee, I see you. Way to dog on him like that. Brub able to get some pick there, chasing down this Mercy, trying to get this last pick. Brub's already back up to 90% again for another overclock, which is huge. And also manages to pick his second perk. So we do see 3 ults from Carroll there, but Carroll is now at almost 80%. They're going to be able to get 1 contest from Eastern New Mexico. They're going to be coming in with a Valkyrie as well as a Death Blossom, but I'm just not sure how much value those ults are going to get. We also have the Moira fading in, trying to touch, and just gets picked off immediately. Kind of sloppy, but I guess someone's going to touch. And then we have the Reaper also going in, trying to ult and contest, but that just leads to the pick. And Brev is able to do some super nice tracking there onto the Mercy to get that queen up. Really nice job by Brev. Brev has ult. Constantine is able to queen up the opposing team Ramatra, and Mr. Spee is able to clean up the Cassidy. Now Carroll is going to be working onto this 3rd point, and honestly this would be one of the most decisive Flashpoint wins that we've seen for Carroll. I mean, they 100-0'd the first 2 points, and now we're going into this 3rd point, seeing what Carroll can do. I think the ultimate to watch this fight is going to be Brev's Railgun, especially because it looks like he has the perk that boosts the damage to 150 when he's in his ultimate. So that means that with the Mercy pocket, he'll be able to one-shot essentially anybody besides the Ramatra on the opposing team. We have a switch back to the Sombra, but Brev is able to peek that out with Constant Rhyme's help. Okay, now we have the ultimate coming into the back line. Brev has no targets. No targets? It gets hindered. Okay, you know what? You know, sometimes we all get lost in the sauce. Getting res now. And we're gonna... Mr. Spee manages to get a shatter. Manages to pick off 2 with the shatter. And then, yeah, there's the second pick. I think the shatter got 2. It might have gotten 3. Hard to say. And then Spee... Okay, how am I supposed to watch Spee play when he's turning his Joy-Con and it's like halfway across the map that he's turning? Holy cow. But a really great shatter there. Constantine is going to be coming up with a Deadeye here. We'll see what kind of off take. I imagine he'll try to take an off angle. Does spot out the Sombra there. So this has actually been a pretty nice ult rotation for Carroll because now we have both support ults and we have the Deadeye again. Constantine's able to get a nice headshot to start the fight off. Doesn't end up in the death. But now we have the nano onto Mr. Spee. Constantine's currently on a flank fighting the Sombra. Not able to get that pick, but Mr. Spee is able to pick up the Cassidy, and now we have the ult coming out from Constantine. Not able to get anyone, but Spee has picked 2 in this fight. And now Constantine is taking this 1v1 versus the Sombra. Sombra's not able to get away. Lock that down, baby. Spee is swinging. Look at him go. Swing. Asleep onto... Okay, and gets the... Oh, okay. Gets the shatter onto the Lifeweaver as they land. Alright, maybe I was dogging on Spee's ride a little too much. I'm sorry, Mr. Spee. I wasn't familiar with your game. The most I remember about your Ryan gameplay is me absolutely putting you on your back every time I shattered. Spee does get the play of the game. Nice pick there. So this is the shatter. It looked like he might have only gotten 1, but Spee's able to capitalize on all the space that it creates and then pick the Moira and then pick the Sombra and then the Lifeweaver as well. So that means Carroll is now up 2-1. I wonder if Carroll will go back to their fun comp for this last one or if they're just going to run it down. I would appreciate if they just ran it down. Because I got to go to school in the morning. But, you know, Carroll's got to do what they got to do to have fun. I bet the vibes are much better over at the Saints Overwatch now that they have confirmed that they can roll the opposing team. So we'll have to see what they do for this last match. And I also don't remember. We're going to Colosseo. Okay, so it's going to be push, which will be interesting. We haven't seen a whole lot of Colosseo this season. I'd love to see Brev play the Widow. I mean, just personally, because I think it'd be really entertaining. But I don't know if we'll quite see that. I imagine that if they're going to run it down... I would love to see Brev play the Widow because I think like Brev's Widow can be really good. I mean, we've seen clips of it doing super well, and he was able to get a headshot like first fight of Kings, and this super long sight line that they have in Colosseo around the first point could mean that Brev is able to capitalize on that. Nightmare situation is that we see Mr. Spee on the Widowmaker. If we see that, I'm turning stream off. Y'all don't want to see that. Dream situation, we see Lizard on the Widowmaker. Let Lizard cook. That's what I have to say. Eastern New Mexico, it sounds like they need a second. I think they took some emotional damage from that last that last rolling that Carroll just handed on. Because I mean, Carroll 100 0'd all 3 of those maps. That's the cleanest we've ever seen them win on New Junk City. Sometimes they'll miss a map or two, but they'll still clutch up. But tonight they just sweep, which is pretty awesome to see if you're a Carroll fan like myself. All right, we are going into Coliseum.
Arriving at Coliseum.
Yeah, I would love to see Bruv. I mean, Sojourn's also really good on this map. Like, don't get me wrong. And I imagine that we'll see Bruv still play the Sojourn. But it'd be great, just, you know, for the fans at home, me being one of the fans at home, to see a little bit of Widowmaker from Bruv. But we shall persevere nonetheless. Interesting too. I would probably think Eastern New Mexico brings back out the Cassidy with these long sightlines. I think the Cassidy could get a lot of value. So that might be something that Carroll is also kind of aware of. I feel like that Connorsson kind of was the player that made the most difference in the first map. I'm interested to see if Crunchy Crisp on Eastern New Mexico also brings out the Sombra, just because, yeah, we do have that. We have a Genji actually coming out from Connorsson. We have Spee is showing ball right now. Okay, Bruv's on the Widow. Yeah, give me that. Give me that. Stick it. He's currently standing still in spawn. I'm a little nervous. Okay, we're moving. Yeah. Lock it in, lock it in, lock it in. Okay, Lizard on the carry, Benny Boy in the Judo. We are gonna, okay, we're not gonna shoot Speedball roll out on the ball. He was just messing with us. We're gonna see him roll out on the Doom. But let's watch Bruv cook. Constant Rhyme will be playing the Sojourn this time, which is interesting. We haven't seen, I mean, Bruv is always playing the Sojourn, so, oh my gosh. Widow's got his glitch. That's kind of, oh brother. We haven't seen Constant Rhyme play the Sojourn, but I imagine that it does an excellent job. Nice headshot there into the Zarya. Is able to knock him out super low. The Genji will be interesting into this, right? Because the Genji Sombra can do a good job of putting a lot of pressure on Bruv, but so far they haven't been able to do that. Bruv is currently being trapped in the back, so we're going to jump in with somebody else. Seems like Constant Rhyme might have gone a little forward there, and now Mr. Spee is kind of in a bad position, but Bruv's able to get a really nice pick onto the Kiriko, and Spee is able to get out, which is huge. They get a res onto the Kiriko, which is unfortunate, but that means hopefully they can capitalize on that. A hack onto Mr. Spee means that Spee is going down. Lizard's able to get a pick onto the Sombra, but Lizard goes down. It looks like Bruv is going down as well. Constant Rhyme, just coming back from spawn from dying earlier, is not the only Carroll player. And the first fight will go to Eastern New Mexico, but don't worry, the first fight of a map, it doesn't matter, you know? Yeah, push, the first fight definitely doesn't matter. Okay, so we have Mr. Spee speaking to the Ramatra. I think that's something that we've seen him play a lot more, so I'm assuming he's more comfortable with. Let's see what Bruv is cooking up. Okay. Okay, a lot of body shots. Body shot banded right now. Spee's able to capitalize on one of the body shots though and finish off the Kiriko. The Genji just like ran away. Yeah, that's Bruv's aura for you. Oh, nice spy checking from Mr. Spee there. Able to pick out the Sombra. Oh, and then a nice pick to get that finisher blow onto him. Mr. Spee's putting a lot of pressure into this Mercy. The Mercy's trying to do a good job evading, but is not able to evade for long enough. Carroll does a great job cleaning up that kill. Bruv gets a nice headshot onto the Kiriko and currently has a wall, so we'll see what other value Bruv is able to get out of this. Constant is coming up on an overclock, which could be big here. And Carroll's able to take the lead, which is great for Carroll. That being said, on the other side, we do have a Gravitic Flux as well as a Genji Blade coming in. So this could be a tough team fight for Carroll. And here comes the Genji Blade. And we have the grab. Suzu comes out, but not able to delay, but not slow everyone down. Bruv manages to get a pick at the very end, and she's the last one alive. Pact is going to get cleaned up. So now it looks like after all is said and done, they're able to get the res onto the Kiriko, which is the only pick that Carroll managed to get that fight. And it looks like they're going to be coming back in with a full 5. So it's going to be a full 5v5 as we get back in. That being said, this robot has a long ways to walk. And so I'm not sure that New Mexico will be able to get the lead. I really doubt it actually before Carroll comes back into contest. We're going to jump back in with Bruv and see what's going on. We're seeing some good pressure, but Crunchy Crisp does go down. So now Bruv has this nice off angle to fight, and we have a Juno Ray coming in. Nice pick on to full supports there by Carroll, able to clean this fight up pretty quickly there. Just taking down the Zarya. Interestingly, the Zarya was pretty high charge there. We need to find out who is shooting the Zarya that much and arrest them immediately. Carroll's coming into this fight with 3 ultimates. We're going to have Annihilation, as well as the Kitsune Rush, as well as Constant Rhymes Overclock. I think, you know, if Spee can get some early picks here with the Annihilation, that'll get a lot of value. And that means that maybe the ults could be saved for a later fight. Carroll's going to reach the halfway point, which is really big for the Carroll College agenda. The Mercy pops Valkyrie and is kind of forced back into a room. And the Kiriko is in a really weird... How does the Kiriko keep ending up in spots like this? We have Annihilation being popped. A lot of pressure being put onto the Kiriko. Constant able to pick up the Sombra on the side, which is also really big. Blizzard goes really low, but manages to stay alive. And now the Mercy is caught out and finished. Blizzard does go down, but it's a noble sacrifice for the rest of Carroll. Mr. P picks 3 in that fight. It's just the Genji left. We now have Connorism, who has played the Cassidy previously, is now switching to a Genji, and I'm just not sure it's getting the value that they need right now. I mean, Bruv is obviously amazing on the Widow, but I'm just not sure they're even putting that much pressure on him with those 2 characters. We have a Kitsune Rush coming out, and Mr. Speed is in the middle of it and manages to just pick the Kiriko through it. We have a what is that ultimate called? Widow's ultimate. You can see through walls. That's what it's called. And then we have an Overclock coming through as well, able to clean up the Zarya. And now it's looking like Eastern New Mexico is kind of scrambling. Like, they're in a bunch of different spots. They're not looking super coordinated. I'm going to get some picks. Rub is currently fighting with Benny Boy in the top. And Benny Boy is just being able to output so much healing. Carlos super close to full capping this, which is pretty sweet. We have a Blade coming out. Let's see how Carlos responds to this. Okay. You know, when you are met with a Blade and an EMP, that is kind of hard to beat. But Mr. Speed is still fighting the good fight. Him and Constant Rhyme able to take down 2. I can hear Mr. Speed. You just got to get out of this fight. Okay, wait, actually, he's kind of dogging this Sombra. He gets hacked. Probably going to get burned down here, but that's okay, because you're just burning clock off the time. You're burning time off the clock at that point. Excuse me. So that means now that New Mexico has to walk the robot basically all the way back to the center, and then they have to walk at another 50 meters before they get any progress, which means that Carroll will probably get to fight them around the midway point, which will be big because that means that Carroll can most likely deny a lot of progress to East New Mexico here while maintaining their almost 80-meter lead. Spee is able to pick off the Kiriko. I mean, I think there had to have been a headshot from Bruv or something at that point. Spee is in deep. He's fighting the fight. He's in the trenches. We have the Annihilation coming out in the trenches, able to pick off Moira. And able to pick up the Zark. Okay.
We are pushing ahead.
Mr. Spee is a menace to society. What a dog. Constant Rhyme with a nice headshot there onto the Genji. I like the switch to cast to have a little bit more CC against these supports who are playing super far up. And now Carroll is back over their halfway point, and they're approaching the final stretch here. See if Carroll's able to get a full cap. We do have a switch over to the Reaper on the other side. Most likely to deal with Mr. Spee. That's Aura. Sombra goes low. We have the orbital rays coming in, and we're going to see Spee play pretty aggressive about this. Constant Rhyme does go down, but Spee is still playing up, and now he's currently in the orbital ray. Are they able to burn down this Moira? The Moira's looking pretty low. Kiriko goes down. Crunchy Crisp does manage to get 2 there, but Spee is still alive, fighting a good fight, but not for much longer. Now it's just going to be cleanup. Bruv goes down last, and that means that Eastern New Mexico is going to be pushing back to the point where they actually just need to even push the bot a little bit further. It's honestly a really good thing for Carroll that these fights are kind of being dragged out, because that's just burning off more time and not allowing Eastern New Mexico to push further into their territory. Mr. Spee is up in the front line here. Bruv has switched to the Junkrat. We haven't seen Bruv on the Junkrat before. That's pretty exciting. So now we have the Annihilation. Let's jump in with Mr. Spee as he calls the Annihilation. Able to get 1 pick onto the Moira super quick. Blizzard does go down from the flank from the Reaper, but this Zarya is super low. It's going to be a map. Yep. Mr. Spee is able to get that clean up, and then able to clean up the Reaper as well. Yeah, Mr. Spee has been popping off this game. I'm a little curious about the Bruv. Okay, Bruv gets picked off by the storm in the back. That's tough. Getting spawn camp is tough. But I'm a little curious about the Bruv Junkrat pick. I'm not sure entirely. Like, I wonder why they brought that out. I mean, we haven't seen him play it all season. And in fact, him getting picked by the Sombra, it just means that Carroll is going to back, which I think is honestly fine, right? Because you have such a huge lead at this point. There's only a little over a minute left that you're willing to take that. And it's interesting that we're seeing Bruv. Okay, Bruv is going to switch over to the Reaper. I wonder if they're trying to deal with the Zarya. I wonder if they, oh, I've just been told I'm not showing the match. So sorry, everybody. This is what happens when you have solo streaming. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, everyone. Have Carroll upload the VOD after the match. But I hope you enjoyed listening to my commentary about it the entire time. Oh god, this is what happens when you solo stream. So sorry about that, everyone. So for those of you who are just watching the match, Carroll did a great job so far. They've got an 80-meter lead. And if you couldn't tell by the sounds, Carroll's been winning a lot of team fights as well, and Mr. T has been picking up a ton. There is a grab coming in a little late here, as well as a coalesce, but I think the coalesce is going to get shut down. And not a whole lot of value out of the grab as well. Bruv is able to clean up the Zarya. And yeah, Carroll is pushing in once again. We have an annihilation coming out in the final few seconds. I think this probably should seal the deal for Carroll as they're able to get off the first on cart. The Reaper has to teleport in, but has basically no health, no cooldowns, and will get fried. So Carroll manages to clean up 3-1. Once again, so sorry I didn't show that last match, everybody. We have a bunch of GGs coming out. That's what you like to see. But my apologies again for not showing that last match until the very end. This is the first play of the game not to Mr. Spee, I believe. Going to the opposing Zarya. Let's see what happens here. Okay, nice 3-piece there, but Carroll